So let's get into the January 2026 Investor Relations Job Market Update. We posted this back in early February. It's taken us a little while to get to the talk track, but here we go. So let's look at the dashboard. It was a great month. January is a great month. As we saw in the number of opportunities, the number of interviews and calls, and the conversion rate to calls were all well above the expected range. 16 opportunities, very strong month. And what was interesting is that the market started slow and really accelerated throughout the month. So again, positive month in January. Now we look at the top trends for the month. There were 16 total IR jobs posted. In the middle of the month, we were down 8% year over year. And by the end of the month, we were up 23% year over year. So for FY26, our forecast suggests that there's about 15% year over year growth in number one IR jobs posted for the year. And the baseline is really about 120 to 168 number one jobs posted in a given year. And the big opportunities in January were industrials and Milwaukee. Milwaukee seems to be a very hot market. So from market structure trends, just remember referrals don't get you the job, but they lengthen your time in the funnel. Now, in terms of artificial intelligence trends, again, with the ATS, what you're trying to do is get enough high-value keywords into your narrative that matches that persona sought by the job description. And as a job seeker, what you're trying to do is take your non-linear experience and put it into a linear pattern that fits the job description you're looking at. Now, from a market breadth standpoint, we've seen some normalization in the number of applicants to some extent. There were 25 applications, 87 applicants on average across those 25, which gives us about 2,176 applicants for the month, which just puts us on track for about 24,000 applications for the year if we run rate January throughout the year, which is down from 2025 is the good news, but still elevated in terms of people looking for IR jobs. Now, the key learnings, again, Gemini will help. The number one IR market seems pretty resilient. We like where we are in 2026. We like where we're going. And the market's bimodal. High-profile tech firms get a lot of applications. Some of these mid-tier small cap opportunities are getting more normalized applications, meaning sometimes less than 100, sometimes less than 50. And Milwaukee is the hot market in January. So let's get into the macro trends. What we're seeing is great growth here. Really, we've seen some normalization since the Fed lowered rates in September. And we look at the all-level IR market. We've seen significant double-digit growth year over year since last September. It seems like the market has really rebounded as we moved into 2026. When you look at the number one IR job market, again, same kind of story. We saw a little bit of a dip in December, but we're seeing growth in posting. So it seems like the market at least has opportunity out there. Now, follow through and sort of, the way people describe things and the way that employers seem to switch direction seems to be an issue for a lot of people. On this slide, we're looking at tracking to our 215 target for the year. And again, the mid-cap part of the market seems squeezed a little bit. You're seeing more particular searches at the high end, meaning large and mega cap. And then we've seen an increase in some of the small cap opportunities. Since 2023, we've tracked 736 total number one IR jobs really since that time. It's been a lot of opportunity, and it just keeps increasing as we move through the years. Now, when we look at our Gemini analysis and our competitive yield, our alpha score keeps going up. And what's been really interesting is you can see the average number of applicants is much lower than it has been throughout 2025. And our days to rejection is about 30. So it's been a significant improvement from where we were starting 2025. You look at some of our highest performing applications, Equinix, FedEx, Pfizer, and C4 Therapeutics. You can see we presented well against the competition. Now, if you look at the market and how we describe it, what's interesting about January is that average DTR has gone back to what it was in 2023. And it suggests that there's some bimodal aspects to the market, meaning, again, prominent tech firms are getting a lot of applications. It's very competitive, whereas some of the smaller tier, small mid-cap firms are getting lower applicant counts. Now, when you look at just growth in the month of January, we were up 45% year over year for all IR jobs, and we were up 100% on the two-year stack. So it's been a good market in terms of resiliency. Now, the problem, again, is we're seeing a lot of change in direction among employers, and there's still a lot of IROs looking for jobs, and even employed IROs looking for jobs. What's great though is you look as we've sort of stabilized on that all IR market where we've been in the double digits, in the 20s or higher for opportunities since June of 25. So that's 1, 2, 3, 7, 8 months straight of this solid market, and the market seems to be normalizing or improving out of that malaise of late 24, early 25. Now, if you look at number one IR opportunities, we were up 23% year over year, and we're up 117% on the 2-year stack. So again, it shows resiliency in the IR market. Now, when you look at the number one IR jobs, again, we've had 8 consecutive months of double-digit postings, and we think that trend is going to continue in February, which suggests some strong resilience in the market. Now, when we get to conversion data, what we've seen or the real change has been we've actually been getting a lot more calls here in January and even in February that we're actually getting calls. People are talking to us, and I think that's the major change in the market. Again, you look at this, and when you look at these conversion rates, it tells a very specific story that tariffs and the election really injected a lot of uncertainty into the job market. And you can see just what a tough market it was from November of 24 through August of 25. And now we get to the appendix, and what you can see here is conversion rate has really increased here in the early going of 26. We think that number is going to be just as strong in February. Hopefully this means that the market has turned a corner where people are interested in hiring. And then lastly, we're at 736 IR jobs. That's roughly 32% of the New York Stock Exchange, 21% of the NASDAQ, and about 13% of combined companies in the last 3 years have turned over their IR. That's a pretty sizable number. It shows that there's some good opportunity. If you have questions, please reach out. That's why we publish this data. We look to have great conversations, and thanks for watching.